Hello, hello, Internet. I am the MiseryWizard, and welcome to Elite Dangerous. I got absorbed into this game just a while ago. I hadn't heard about it before. It's a space simulator. I think it's been out for a while in beta, but it's just recently come out as a final release. And it's a massive game. Biggest game ever made. One-to-one scale recreation of the Milky Way galaxy, with 440 billion star systems for you to explore, mine, blow up. Well, you can't actually blow them up. You can blow people up in them. And with all that to explore, with all that to go on, with all that going on, learning to move your ship is it's a big thing. But this is a simulator, so controls are very precise, and the game doesn't do such a good job of explaining some of its finer elements, especially some of its basic stuff. Even stuff like interface navigation for some of the interfaces, it just doesn't explain that. You have to look it up in the bindings options to find out how to do it, which I thought was ridiculous. So I thought I would make this little video just about cruising, super cruising, navigating the system map, the galaxy map, just to help you guys, after I've figured out how to use them, help you guys use them. So I'm using a mouse and keyboard. I'm using a Razer Naga, so I have a lot of hotkeys at my disposal. But just a basic rundown of some of the changes I've made to the mouse and keyboard setup to help me. I've changed the mouse control to yaw, and I'll show you this in the menu in just a second, so that I point my ship and it moves in that direction. By default, moving the mouse to the side would roll the ship, but now I just point it in a direction, it goes in that direction. Now then, S moves the ship down, W moves the ship up. A rolls to the left, D rolls to the right. Q moves to the left, E moves to the right. Q and E are like that by default. I had to change WS, A, and D. To control my throttle, I use the mouse wheel, throttle up, and throttle down by rolling backwards. This is a very rebinding happy game. You're probably going to have to rebind something. I think the default controls for mouse and keyboard are kind of crappy. Now, as you throttle up, if you want to come to a full stop, just hit X, and that is by default. X by default will just bring you to a full stop. So, the easiest way for you to learn how to control your ship is to go into the training mode, and I think the first training mode has you destroy some poison canisters. That's the easiest way to learn to control the ship, because you just gotta get in there, mess with it, and learn the controls, learn what's best for you, and just fiddle with it until it makes sense. Let's look at the controls real quick. Now, as I said, I have it set to yaw so that I can look and just go. But mouse dead zone and mouse sensitivity are very important if you're playing with a mouse. If you don't know what dead zone is how large a movement is needed before the game will register an actual movement. So if you move this down to the left, a small movement will be picked up. And everyone's hands are a little twitchy, especially if they're in a freaking dogfight in the middle of an asteroid field around a gas giant. You get a little twitchy. So it's best to move that dead zone up so that it takes larger movements. But if you do it too high, the game will need you to move your hand across the entire desk before it even registers a movement. Where I have it set is good for me personally. Play with that, find the setting you need. Play with dead zone before you play with sensitivity, because dead zone can make it feel like your sensitivity is a lot higher than it actually is. So, but as I said, go through this, fiddle with the settings. They can be really, really intimidating. But the big thing here, I changed to yaw. There's roll left, roll right. A lot of this stuff is not necessary. If you notice that it doesn't have something bound to it, just for the most part, don't worry about it. The stuff that has stuff bound to it is the ones you need to worry about. So, let's see here. Throttle control. I changed that to the mouse access. Stuff like that. It's real easy. And these, if you have the hotkeys to bind these, I would recommend doing it. It just makes controlling the ship a lot easier. Okay, so you've fiddled around. You know how to control your ship just flying around a space station or some asteroids or stuff. Now you need to move around within a solar system. That's where Supercruise comes in. And then to move around between solar systems, it's still called Supercruise, I think. Hyperspace. But first of all, let's pull up our maps. Now, by default, if you hit 1 on the number row above WSAD, it'll take you straight to this map. You can also hit down on the mouse button, the mouse wheel, and just free look around. If you look to the left, it'll pull up that interface. The right, somewhere there, it'll pull up that interface. If you hit mouse again, it'll snap back to the front. 1 is the navigation menu. 2 is your chat field, so you can start talking to people and typing. 3 is your sensor field. And 4 is your status, cargo, fire groups, stuff like that. You'll be spending most of your time over here. Okay, so pull back this. So in order to navigate this menu, you use WSAD, Q and E, and spacebar. And that is all by default. So E and Q moves through the tabs. WSAD moves just like arrow keys through this. And then spacebar selects something. So let's jump between a star system first. That's actually a little bit easier than moving around within a solar system. So pull up the galaxy map with spacebar to select it. Here we go. Using left mouse button, you can pan around. If you click and hold the right mouse button, moving up and down will pan you up and down. You don't necessarily need to do that, though. Mouse in and out to zoom in, obviously. So let's pick a system here that I know has something. Let's see, I'm in Aravat. I could go to LHS 3447. Now, you click on it, it'll go right to it, and click Set Destination. Now, some things are farther away. For instance, if I wanted to go to, say, Yakabu something. The names in this game are strange. I wonder if they're generated. If I set a destination there, I can't make that in one jump. The distance between Aravat and Yakabu, it's too big for my ship to make that in a single jump. So, what I need to do is jump to Al-Rai Sector KHVB21. Frickin' beautiful name. And then I can jump there. Larger ships, some faster ships can make, and you can upgrade that to make larger jumps possible. That's more advanced. Let's just do one jump, though. Let's go to something that's close, and LHS is close. This is one jump away. So, we can make this in a single jump. So, then go down here to exit. Now, if we look here at the center, on the left side here, you'll see that little pulsating circle, and it's got a sort of blue dot. Now then, if we just move around this way, you want that blue dot to be in the center of the crosshair. That blue dot is your destination. So let's throttle up. And by default, I believe your frame shift drive is mapped to, I want to say, J. Now, if you're around a planet or something like that, you will be mass locked because of the gravity of that planet. Whoops. I was already in free look. There. So if you look over here, it says fuel, mass locked, landing gear, cargo scoop. You cannot enter into frame shift with your landing gear, cargo scoop, your hard points, or your mass locked. So you have to be away from a large body, you have to have all your stuff stowed, and your hard points are your weapons and equipment, which you deploy using U by default. You can't enter into frame shift with that deployed. So with everything retracted, and you're not mass locked, you can engage the frame shift drive, which will start to charge up. Make sure you're on target, and just wait for it to charge. Now, it's very important to keep your hands on the keyboard, because you're locked onto that star system, but the only thing you can see from that distance is the star. You're locked onto the star. You're going to be dropped out in orbit around it, and if you don't pull up, you're going to take a dip into fiery molten plasma and burn alive. So, watch out for that. It's beautiful. I wish there's a mod for that replaces that screen with plaid. They've gone to plaid. All right, so now we're in Supercruise. This has just dropped us in Supercruise around in this solar system. Now, if you enter into Supercruise without a target, or with a target marked in that system, let's slow down here, or with a target marked in that system, then you will just enter into that solar system Supercruise. You won't just jump. If you've set a destination outside of that solar system, you'll instantly jump out of the solar system. But with a target in system or no target, you'll just be in Supercruise in the system. So, let's set a target within this system. Alright, so you can pull up the system map. Now, you can't set a destination from the system map, but it'll give you kind of an idea of what you're looking at, where you can go. Okay. Now, let's see here. This, right here, it's a binary star system. This one seems to have a lot more going on. So let's find a big something. Let's go with Woolridge Terminal. Hopefully that's not too far away. Whoops. And actually, I should point something out. That if you're in the system map, I don't know why it does this. If there's a way to not do this, let me know in the comments, please. Because if you're in the system map and you hit exit, it'll take you to the galaxy map, and then you have to exit again. Ah, that was a comet. I don't know why it does that. So, in order to set the Woolridge Station as our destination, go over here, under navigation, go to the side. This is all the stuff that's in here. Now, squares are big space stations. So we need to find Woolridge. Woolridge. Dalton, Yaping. Where is it? Woolridge Terminal. Use spacebar to select it. Lock destination. Let's get out of that. It's to my side. Alright. So that is... Ew. That is all the way on the other side of the star system. That would take a while for me to get to. So I want to make this a bit quicker. Let's see if we can pull up. I am actually familiar with this system, so I think Lawson is a lot closer. It'll be in orbit around the star I seem to be in right now. So that... Yep, there's Lawson. That seems a hell of a lot closer. So let's throttle up. Yep, the yellow lines you're seeing there are orbital paths. So then, as you see on the left there, Lawson Orbital is marked. I'm on target, so I am properly aligned, as you can see right there. That little sphere to the right, or to the left of my sensor, sorry. Okay, so we're cruising towards it right now. What can I point out to you? Okay, so on the right side of the sensor circle, you'll see my throttle. 20.9 keeps going up. I'm speeding up. So that little blue bar on the side of the orange bar is the power you sort of should be using right now. That's what you should be using. Or maybe that's what you can be using. I'm not sure. But as we pull in closer to this station, we will we'll see on the left-hand side here, distance and speed. We'll start to see our distance actually represent. We're too far away to show it right now. I'm going to throttle down. Well, oops. No, I'm still a bit far away. We're starting to see the orbital path. Lawson Orbital orbits a gas giant, and we're just now coming in close enough that we can start to see the orbital paths of that gas giant. That's how big this game is. Alright. So, I have hotkeys assigned for 50, 75, and 100% power. If you don't have those, just be ready on the mouse wheel. So, and by default, you throttle up and down using W and S. Which I just don't think that works. Okay. Getting close. 8 seconds out, I'll drop down to 75% power. Make sure you stay on the proper alignment. And just cruise on in. Now, the first few times you do this, you're probably going to overshoot. I happened to me all the time. I would just constantly overshoot until I learned what controls worked for me and how best to manage my power, my throttle, as I entered the system. So you can see distance from the station is starting to represent there. Let's throttle down even more to 50%, because there we go. Now our speed is starting to show. And the AI on board your ship, your co-pilot or whatever, will help manage your throttle settings as you pull in closer. Let's throttle back up now that I can actually see my speed on that meter. I'm going to take a second to look around here. Oh, there it is. A beautiful gas giant with its asteroid fields. Good place to bounty hunt. And mine. Okay, so when we get in close enough, those on the distance meter, we will want to drop back out, and you'll drop out of frame shift by hitting the frame shift key again. For me, I believe I've mapped it to F2. I'll just use my mouse. Yep, and there we go. Safe disengage ready. Disengage. And there we have it. There's Lawson Orbital. It's a small space station. I would like to have shown you one of the larger space stations first, but they were too far away in this particular system. So, we want to dock at this space station. Go over here. Go to Contacts, Lost in Orbital, Request Docking.
Docking request granted.
And we have permission. Now then, if we look here, proceed to landing pad 3. Now, on the really big space stations where you have to actually land inside them, that is really important. You want to pay attention to the landing pad you're supposed to land at. If you try to land at the wrong one, you'll get charged for loitering, and you'll get a wanted level. And that, if you don't take care of that quickly enough, that will become a bounty. Throttle down. Now then, let's try and find docking bay 3. Where is it? Ew. I believe we have it right there. Yep. So, using the E and Q keys to move from side to side. Let's throttle down, throttle down. Alright. Now we'll deploy our landing gear, which by default I believe is mapped to L, which makes sense. Now then, the side that you see the number on is the front side. You want to have, so you see there's 3, you want to face number 3. Let's move down a bit. Taking this nice and slow and careful. So, now you can see me right here. Move a bit to the side. My ship, how high I am from the surface. Let's move down a bit. Remember, X is full stop. And we see that circle just about there. Oops, a little early. There we go. And then, there you go. Docking is now successful. It's a bit trickier with the larger larger stations because, as I mentioned, you have to fly inside them. I probably should have planned out my jump a bit better so I could have showed you one of those in a reasonable time frame. But that's it. And then to launch, just hit launch again, and it'll spin you around. It's not a big deal on these smaller stations where you're docking, you know, in space, but on the bigger space stations when you're docking inside, this will point you in the direction of the exit. So it's actually quite nice. And there we go. Ship released. Bring in the landing gear. Throttle up, and we out of here. And as you see, I'm mass locked because I'm close enough to a very large thing that its mass is affecting me. I can't go into frame shift until I'm far enough away. I think it's 5 kilometers. And that is the bare basics of how to get around, jump between star systems, things like that. You know, if you want to see some more tutorials or specific things like combat, mining, please let me know, and I would love to make those videos. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye. Bye-bye.